Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Bedford County Sports Talk Live. I'm David Thomas. With me, Mr. Bill Anderson. We're here to talk local sports, college sports, little Titans talk today.
Big day today, Dave.
Big day. A lot of stuff to.
We got some stuff to talk about today.
Absolutely.
Big day.
Some big Titans news.
Huge.
Great deal with MTSU Lady Raiders.
Oh man.
We're going to dive into that.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to talk some local high school sports. But before we do, let's say thanks to our sponsors. We've got First Bank here in Shelbyville, Kincaid
Service Company.
Been in business for how many years? 47?
47 years.
47 years. And then we got Corner Cleaners out on North Main Street, Miss Susie Johnson. And let's pause right now and hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll dive in when we get right back.
Cleaners, we provide quality services you can rely on. Located in Shelbyville, we're the area's leading dry cleaner, proudly serving customers throughout Bedford County since 2001. We provide same-day dry cleaning and laundry service as well as tuxedo rentals. For customer convenience, we offer delivery and also have a drive-through and overnight drop box.
For all your dry cleaning needs, call Corner Cleaners.
Kincaid Service Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
Welcome back in here, and we've got a participant in chat this morning. Miss Helen Raby says,
Helen.
Good morning. Good morning, Miss Helen.
Helen,
Good
it's a
to have
little
you.
cold for you this morning.
Yeah, it is. Anybody else out there watching, just chime in anytime if you have any comments. We'd like to hear from you, get your opinions on what's going on. Bill, we've got some baseball taking place in Bedford County over the last couple of weeks. Things have got rolling. Have you got some scores for us?
I do. Shelbyville avenged an earlier loss to Forest, beat them 7-6. They lost to Tullahoma 5-4, but you know Tullahoma.
Yeah.
They're good.
They're real good.
They're really good.
Always are.
Cascade's off to a really nice start in baseball, beat Moore County 6-1. They beat Huntland 18-3. And this Richland team is really, really good, and Cascade beat them 8-7.
So they're rolling.
So Cascade's off to a really nice start.
Yeah.
I think Shelbyville's playing a tougher pre-region schedule because I think Coach Jones has said it really doesn't start kind of like Coach Jones did.
Yeah. And it sounds like his strategy is also kind of get a feel for everything early.
Right.
And then come on and get the thing put
it's
together.
It's not how you start. It's how you finish.
Yeah. So I'm anxious to see as the season
unfolds. I think as we get into the district, you'll see Shelbyville start to roll.
Yeah. And we get to hear from him this week. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
So having him on and getting his take on things so far.
Would have had him this week, but due to the rain and the makeup games, that's what messes you up in baseball a little bit is you have these rains and you got to make up games. And I think he had JV in like 3 or 4 games Wednesday.
Yeah. So you got to bear with us on that show. We can't nail it down because there's no telling when they might have to play at any given time. And then that messes their practice and their organization up too when they have to play 3 games one week and then 4 the next and then 2 the next. They
think about how hard this is on these kids too, just in baseball in general. When you have 3-4 games a week, and then when you're not in a game, you're practicing.
Right.
So it's nonstop when it starts.
24/7 for those kids.
Community coach Robbie Davis beat Giles County 6-4, big win for Robbie. Then he played Richland twice, lost 10-0, 13-5. And I'm telling you, folks, Richland's got a good baseball program.
Yeah.
Not like Eagleville, really good baseball program.
Yeah.
And softball couldn't get many scores.
No, I couldn't. I noticed that in soccer, boys soccer, the Shelbyville Golden Eagles are 2-0 right now. They've had 2 games. Couldn't find any girls soccer scores.
I couldn't either.
And softball wise, it's getting started. They're a little bit behind the baseball, though. It seems like it by a week or so. So they'll get rolling here before long.
And this may be wrong, but it just seems like the weather may affect girls softball a little more than it does boys.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes you can go over, and that's like why you see us playing Central Magnet the way we are, or Middle Tennessee Christian, because they have turf
Right.
and it drains better. So you may swap a game and say, hey, let's go and play at your place because you have turf and not grass where we have grass. Yeah. I don't know that you can do that in softball as easy.
Yeah, in MTSCS, some of those schools that do have the turf, the tarp situation is a little easier to deal with on those because they don't have to cover the entire infield. But
I believe this week we do have a big game coming up. This is the Lincoln County, I believe Shelbyville's this week. I think it's Tuesday night where they're going to, the proceeds go to Kyler Trice and his family.
Right. And they also have a big tournament starting up out of community. And that's going to be utilizing several high schools as well. So that's going to be a big deal to keep an eye on.
I'll have to get Coach Davis back on. He was good on here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed having Robbie.
Robbie Davis, come back.
We'll have Robbie back soon.
All right. Let's talk about 25 miles to the north.
Yes.
We had some Lady Raiders.
We did.
Kick some Cardinals rear ends. Or Lady Cardinals.
Congratulations to Bubba and Rick Insel and those girls. But they're down 18 points in this ball game.
Right.
It turns out to be the tied for the third largest comeback in NCAA history.
And they pulled it
off. They cut it to 11. If you get a chance, go online and watch this girl. Her name is Savannah Wheeler.
Right.
She had, I think, 2 points in the first half, 20 in the second half, and just single-handedly.
She took the game over.
Took the game over.
Yeah. Put on a clinic.
But when you see the score, MTSU 71, Louisville 69, they were down 18. You think, well, MTSU came back and hit a buzz. That wasn't what happened either. No. Middle got up 6-8, had the game under control with 2 minutes to go. And I think Louisville, it's 71-66. Louisville hits a desperation three to cut it to 2. Right. Fouls MTSU, who misses both free throws. Yeah. But there wasn't enough time left for Louisville.
They basically dominated the second half, and Louisville was the one playing catch up. After they got wiped clean there to start, and it's
the first NCAA win for MTSU women in the tournament since 2007. The Lady Raiders have now won 20 games in a row,
and now they've got their 30 wins.
And that was their 30th win. They're 30-4.
30-4. The thing about Conference USA, Bill, they don't get a good draw.
No.
And coming out and having to play Louisville right out of the gate, they get that win. Now who they go up? LSU. All right, that's. I mean, you never know what can happen when you get on the basketball court, but having that draw is a killer.
Louisville was a 6 seed. MTSU was an 11.
Yeah.
The year MTSU had, they should have been no lower than an 8.
Right. That puts it.
They should have been in the 8-9.
Right. They're playing middle tier people.
Because MTSU also has a win over Tennessee.
Yeah.
They had some big wins outside of Conference USA.
Exactly. And for them to get 30 wins is major. That's huge. A big deal. Coach Insel just keeps piling the wins up.
Yep.
How many has he got now? 5,000? I don't know.
That's ridiculous. That's unreal. Something that later when the season's over, I would love for Coach Insel to come on here one time.
Yeah, we'll try to get him to sit down and talk about his tenure there at MTSU as a whole, because it's been a big success.
And how he recruits, and can he go hit the portal?
Oh, hey.
Because, hey, I'll tell you, being on ESPN and seeing that big win, that's got to help you in recruiting in the portal.
Yeah, they got 30 wins. Wow.
Right.
Well, they've done a fantastic job over. Coach Insel took his system to the college level, and it continues to work.
Yes.
And
Savannah Wheeler, I hate to keep bringing her up. I was just so impressed with this Savannah Wheeler. I mean, and these were clutch contested shots. It wasn't like they were we'll get to it in a minute. It wasn't like Oakland and Kentucky where you're just letting that kid shoot threes. They were getting after her.
Exactly. And the pressure was on and she delivered. So,
and MTSU had a good post presence at times too, where they were able to feed the block when the three wasn't working, and it was typical Rick Insel offense too, and defense and pressure pressing.
The defense is the key to his whole system.
Always has been.
Always turnovers, disruption, and then effective offense.
And his girls are in better shape than yours.
Absolutely,
I just don't. That's one. He's always been that way.
Always. Well, Bill, it's a good situation there at MTSU for Lady Raiders. Then we've got Derek Mason there. MTSU athletics are on the upswing.
Absolutely.
And I love seeing
Rocky Chandler here's got a scholarship offer. Would it be wonderful? And Rocky may get something better. Right. But it's just wonderful.
Right. It'd be great to see. We've got the two Cascade boys going over there.
Absolutely.
Lovern and Peoples. And
I believe he got a couple of kids from Pearl Cone coming. There's talent here where I remember back in the day was Johnny Majors and Doug Matthews in that bunch. And back then, you did good to have 4 or 5 kids in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah. In Middle Tennessee got left off.
They could play SEC ball.
Yeah. Well,
Rutherford County probably has a dozen or better a year just in Rutherford County alone, not counting the outlying areas.
yeah,
That's how much better athletics has got.
I know it. And it's,
And I'll tie
it's
that
great.
too, if you think about it, to the Titans coming.
Yeah.
98, that's
Yeah.
when you really started seeing the upticks when we had pro football brought to
Right.
Middle Tennessee.
Right. No change there. And Derek Mason bringing this mindset of recruiting local.
And
is
David,
gonna
I
help
think
him.
part of it is your ex-NFL players, retired players,
Right.
they stay here.
Yeah. Look at it. A lot of them have started coaching in
Yes.
the area. And that's a major impact.
Or you never played here and you're Aaron Rodgers and you buy a farm out somewhere. I mean, you're
Exactly.
seeing that where you've
Right.
got people wanting to come here.
Yeah. Everybody wants to come to Tennessee.
Yes.
It's obvious. Look
Obvious.
at the traffic.
It's awful.
All right, let's take this quick break. And Bill, right now, these kids in high school, especially the juniors and seniors, are starting to think about this prom situation going on.
Right.
And if you need a tux, guys, the place to go is Corner Cleaners.
Absolutely.
Let's hear a word from those guys and Miss Susie, and you can see what all they do.
Corner Cleaners, we provide quality services you can rely on. Located in Shelbyville, we're the area's leading dry cleaner, proudly serving customers throughout Bedford County since 2001. We provide same-day dry cleaning and laundry service as well as tuxedo rentals. For customer convenience, we offer delivery and also have a drive-through and overnight drop box.
For all your dry cleaning needs, call Corner Cleaners.
Okay, Bill, let's shift gears right now. Let's talk about some NCAA tournament. Man, we've got a bad-looking situation taking place for the SEC. We got 3 teams left. After
Are
one
we
round.
homers?
Huh?
That's the way it looks
Yeah.
like. We're all homers because we live here and we think the SEC is the best conference and all this. How unimpressive has this been?
Oh, it's been terrible. It looks like the defense has gone out the window.
Well, there is none.
I know. If you look at Tennessee, though, and I want to dive into Tennessee and their first win, which, you know, we
So let's
expected
save them
to
for
win.
last. Let's save Tennessee
Okay,
for
all
last.
right. Well,
Save
let's
them for
talk
last.
about some of these upsets.
Let's talk
Kentucky. Let's talk about Kentucky.
Exactly where I was going. How in the world is it Oakland, California? No,
I don't know. Where is
No,
that? Where is Oakland?
it's either Oakland, Pennsylvania, or Oakland, Michigan. It's some little bitty school.
Yeah.
And you know from the scouting report that this one kid that shoots the 10, 11 three-pointers in the game had only attempted 8 2-point shots all year, and he was 4 of 8.
He just stands back
So
there and
you
throws
knew
threes.
going in,
Yeah.
had you scouted, that this kid's going to shoot a ton of threes.
Right. And you
Now,
don't take care
And
of
you've
it.
got all those athletes, and you don't dedicate someone to taking that away from him.
They didn't even
They didn't
pay
even attempt
attention.
it.
No, they didn't even pay attention to that kid. And he stood out there and killed him. It absolutely.
And continued to do it.
I know it. Why don't you get a hand up in the guy's face?
And,
I don't
and then
know.
I hear Coach Calipari after the game, and hey, the guy is a wonderful recruiter. He's probably the greatest of all time. I think his floor coaching is suspect at times. But guys, here's the deal: you're sitting here, and you're that much better than somebody. Just feed the paint, if nothing else. Just
Yeah.
don't even attempt a three. Go inside on them. You're way bigger than they are.
Okay, so
Kentucky's got 3 7-footers on that team.
I know.
3.
I know.
Who else in America has it?
Let me ask you this: how many of those players are going to be back next year? A lot of them going to just
Well,
dive off
his
into the
complaint
NBA?
after the game was, and here's what he said. He said, well, when my average player is 19 years old and the opposition's 24, well, that's not true. There's not a lot of 24.
24.
Yeah, that's what he said. Well, if it's
Okay.
19 and the one and done's, that's on you too.
Well, I don't care if they are 24 and at
But
Oakland.
Kentucky's best player the other night was a senior
Yeah,
that scored. He was their scorer.
right.
But when you got 3 7-footers, and like I said, I compare them to Noah's Ark. They've got 2 of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But really,
Yeah.
you got nothing when you don't play any defense whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
But talent-wise, from an athletic perspective, Kentucky had more talent than probably anyone in this field.
Absolutely do, and I would still say that right now, even after
E-
seeing
even
some of these
after
other
seeing
plays. Yeah. All right. Well, the talk is now, Calipari has reached his end of his career for Kentucky, and everybody's saying Bruce Pearl. I saw a meme this morning had Bruce Pearl with a UK shirt on, with Rupp Arena behind him saying Pearl to Rupp Arena.
I don't think Pearl would leave Auburn for that job.
Well, let's talk about
But
Auburn.
let's
for a
talk
second.
about, let's go back to Calipari.
Okay.
Here's what some buddies are telling me. Lifetime contract is buyouts $35 million.
Yeah.
What was Jimbo Fisher's buyout at Texas A&M?
It was huge.
88 million or
Was it
85 million.
80 it was 80
80-something million.
something. Something.
If you don't think Kentucky wants Calipari gone, that they don't have the money, they'll make about 4 phone calls and it's there.
One phone call,
maybe
probably.
one.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not saying that's what they're going to do.
Right.
But at some point, they won the national championship in 2015, and maybe we can look it up somewhere. How many NCAA games have they won since then? You talk about one and done. And
yeah. Let me ask you this.
It's been bad.
Let's go back to what Calipari said. There is some truth to the youth of Kentucky because he's getting the best talent in the country.
He does.
They're one and done, a lot of them. They're in there. They're out to the NBA. They never have a chance to develop a team. I mean, 2 years tops, and they're gone. So they're rebuilding every year, but they've got the best talent.
Which is a wonderful point. So as Coach Calipari's point is, I'm trying to put people in the NBA, or am I trying to win championships, basketball games, and titles for the University of Kentucky? Right. Am I a feeder to the NBA, which is what it looks like
exactly
he is,
what
or am I trying to win championships?
There's a different way to recruit when you're trying to win championships. If you want a bunch of stars on the team, you ain't going to win.
All right, let me ask you this. Did Mike Krzyzewski get Duke not pick whoever he wanted? For years, didn't he get all 5 stars? But you didn't see him one and done him like they do Cal.
Well, actually,
you did a little bit.
If you look at it, though, he would always get a couple of those big name high school recruits, and he would get some you hadn't heard, and he would coach them.
Yeah,
I mean, he coached them.
Well, Roy Williams would go get them. You didn't see him with a mass exodus.
No,
of course, those guys now have gotten out of coaching because of the way things have changed as well.
And you see Nick Saban, he hit the trail because of some of this too. But you look at it's really not fair to a coach in this environment now. Everybody wants instant success. You don't see colleges or not even pro sports or now high school sports give a coach a chance. It's 2 years. If you hadn't won a championship, you're gone. 2 years, gone. And you never see any stability at these positions now.
Now, part of that comes with the money.
Yeah.
Because when you start making $8-10 million a year,
oh yeah,
there is an expectation to what you're being paid.
Exactly. Bill, if you were coaching, had you rather be paid a little bit less and given some time?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
these coaches want that money. But when you get the money, you get the pressure.
That's right. And that's
a catch-22 of where you're at.
It seems like all these top-tier NCAA schools now have that situation going on with their coaching in football and in basketball, especially. I don't know about baseball as much, probably not, but those two sports. And even in women's basketball now, the pressure's on some of these coaches to instant deliver. But the talk is Pearl to UK. Everybody's wanting that. All right, let's look at what Coach Pearl did. Auburn, 76. Yale, 78. Yale? Are you kidding?
I called my wife. She's an Auburn graduate. And I said, Andrea, do you know what happened to your Auburn War Eagles? And I always call them War Eagles because an Auburn fan, it ticks them off.
Right. Plainsman, too, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. And she goes, now what happened? You lost to Yale in the NCAA tournament.
What's the Yale mascot?
I'm not sure, but I'll say this. This wasn't one of your better Yale teams either. They had to go on a run. I think win their tournament. I think they had to win to get in the tournament.
Right, they did.
And I don't think this was – when you looked at the game yesterday, you're going athlete, 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 Yale.
I know. How does that happen?
And Auburn looked like they went on a run, got up by about 10, and it's like they –
well, we won now.
Pull back. We won.
Yeah.
But again, why do you not feed the paint when you're playing Yale? And I'm bigger than you. I'm more athletic, especially on the blocks. Or have we not gotten away from the fundamentals of basketball?
We have
to where we just want to sit out here and shoot threes
and run
up and down the floor.
If you can't run and dunk it or shoot a three, there's nothing in between.
Now, if you come back and which has always been in the NCAA tournament, really nice guard play, and I've watched some of these teams like Yale backdoor cuts. The passing game, getting wide open layups against great athletes because their fundamentals are so much better.
Yeah.
Well, that Yale coach did a miraculous job. But at the end of the game, it's 78-76. How many shots at the basket did Auburn get?
Oh, I know.
I think it was 4 or 5.
Point blank. Point blank range.
Point blank. Boom, boom, boom. Miss.
Unreal. But, you know.
And I think Coach Pearl is a wonderful coach. I loved him at Tennessee. He's done a great job at Auburn. But yesterday was not a good coaching job by Coach Pearl.
No.
It just wasn't.
Well, we've got 3 teams. We had 8 teams in. We've got 3 teams left, I believe it is at this point.
All right, Michigan State and Mississippi State. If you were picking brackets, didn't you think Mississippi State's playing pretty well?
After the way they played against Tennessee, and they beat them twice this year.
Yes.
Okay. And you think, they're long, they're athletic, they're gonna win this game. And they get handed 69-51.
And this is not a great Michigan State team.
No.
It's just not.
A 9 and an 8 playing each other, and the 9 beats the 8 by that much.
Another team I thought could make a little noise here was Florida. Had been playing really well. They absolutely got pounded by Colorado until Colorado decided to play keep away with about 4 minutes to go and quit trying to score. And I can't think of the Florida guard. He put on a clinic, got him back in it. But Colorado lucky to win 102-100.
102 points.
Yes. Where's the defense?
No defense. It's just the mentality has changed. I'm telling you, Bill.
And talk about no defense. All due respect to you Alabama fans out there. You played Charleston. You're a 4 seed. You win the game 109-96.
Unbelievable. No defense.
Now, I'm telling you, what they got Grand Canyon. We'll talk about it in a minute coming up. That's where Bryce Drew used to be at Vanderbilt is. And that Grand Canyon can score. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't beat Alabama because they don't play defense.
They beat a 5 seed. If Grand Canyon, who I assume that's in Arizona. It's the Grand Canyon.
I don't know.
Okay. I didn't know they had a college. Obviously in Flagstaff or wherever. There's 5 players there that's going to get on that floor. And if they all play together, play good defense, who knows? They beat a 5 seed. Okay. They beat St. Mary's and beat them, by 9 points here. So when is that game? Today at 6?
6.
At 6:10, I think is on TBS.
All right, South Carolina, another SEC team that I thought had a surprise. They were picked last, had a great year. Oregon absolutely thumps them 87-73.
A 6 seed falls to an 11 seed.
Again, SEC being the 6th seed, Oregon the 11th seed.
I know, and we're just like getting embarrassed.
Texas A&M, one of the few teams of the SEC to win. They beat Nebraska 98-83. But again, I didn't see any defense there either.
No,
none.
98 points. You putting up that? I mean, honestly, if you play defense in a college game, you should be in the 50s, 60s, maybe low 70s.
Right.
And you're seeing a competitive defensive situation. Well, let's jump now and talk to Tennessee.
Okay.
Just for a second. Of course, they had an easy win to start with. But
St.
now
Peter's was clearly outmatched,
right.
83-49. But I'm going to give Coach Barnes credit for one thing. If he sees a chance to go inside to a do and even bring in a Waka, he's done it several times this year, they will go inside where they haven't in the past. They're not necessarily 4 out, 1 in.
Right. Well, they got it. They got the meat there.
They've got some meat down there to do it. However, that's also been the weakness in a few games, and it was Mississippi State exploited.
Yes.
They killed us inside.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It looked like our kids were lost.
Yeah.
And they were getting out hustled, or it's like they weren't quick on their feet, which I've seen them, and they look quick at times, but they weren't prepared for what that was. What they just kept forcing it down
you
there.
You talk about a game with ramifications coming into the SEC, Texas and Tennessee. Rick Barnes was there 17 years.
I know.
This is one of his Coach Terry, Texas coach, was Barnes' lead assistant for a number of years. In fact, I think most of Texas staff are Barnes' disciples. Here's your big ball game.
Yeah. So if Tennessee, on paper, here's the thing. On paper, Tennessee is a number 2 seed. If you look at what they're capable of and go down the lineup and see what each one of these kids bring to the table, you look and say they're number 2 seed, and they shouldn't have lost 8 games. They could possibly be in the top 4. But it all hinges on their defense. Okay. When they go on these cold spells like they did against Mississippi State, and then they don't play defense when they're in that cold spell, they're going to get blown out of the gym.
They are.
Okay. That defense softens the blow of their cold streaks. You follow what I'm saying?
I do, exactly.
But if they're not playing defense and they go on one of these cold streaks, 2 for 14.
As good as Dalton Connect is, I think you've got Vescovi and Jordan James sitting around here waiting on him to do everything.
Right.
Those two disappoint me. They're 6-year seniors. This is tournament time. This is where – and Vescovi, to me, all of a sudden can't hit a wide open 3 anymore.
Well, let me ask you this. You go back to the Grant Williams era. Okay. You look at him. Everybody relied on him to score. Is this what's happening with Connect? And is it a team situation where they get out on the floor and say, well, he's going to do it, he's going to do it? Or is it a strategy ploy by Barnes?
No, I think it's absolutely they're waiting on him to do it for them.
Okay.
With the exception of Ziegler, who I think is his own. Ziegler is the key to this.
Right. Yeah.
He's the key. He is the straw that stirs the drink at Tennessee.
Man,
is Ziegler.
He makes one of them steals and makes one of them magician plays on defense. And that can fire up a team.
But his dribble penetration into a zone or man and getting in there and dishing opens everything else for everybody. And no one's gotten better in the last year than a dude. Adu has gone from a guy that was a little lanky,
Yep.
could hit a hook.
Look kind of
Now,
clumsy.
He'll jam it on you.
Yeah, he'll do it.
And Awaka gives you a size presence in there because he's such a big body and he's a great rebounder.
Okay, I'm sitting here talking all this up, and I'm saying, okay, Tennessee's going to beat Texas by 10 points. But I'm telling you, if they don't play defense, they could lose. And
I think they'll win the game. The question then is, can they beat? If they were to win, I don't know if they can beat Creighton. They could if they played really well.
That's the problem with Tennessee. Can they put game, all good games back to back to back to back? They've not been able to do it in the regular season.
Up until we played so bad against Kentucky, Mississippi State back to back, they were on a great run.
Right.
Now, was this get right game? Was it a get right game, or was St. Peter's just not very good? And I think St. Peter's just wasn't very good.
We'll know today.
We're going to know today. If Tennessee comes out and beats Texas, and they should, maybe then the reason I give Tennessee a chance here to maybe still make a run to the Final Four is the fact they're capable of playing very good defense.
Yeah.
And playing physical.
They've got to do that.
But they got to do it.
Yeah. If they're going to go any further, they've got to do that. And they got to do it every game. Now, it's from here on out. They can't lack the defense.
Who does Creighton match? You got it up over there. Creighton matches up. Was it Oregon?
Akron, they beat. They go Oregon.
Oregon's playing well. That Creighton-Oregon game ought to be a good ball game.
All these games are going to be good at this point. I think that we're going to be surprised. But, Bill, before we move on to Titans talk, I want you to give me your pick. Who's going to win the entire thing? Or do you just want to say top four?
Yeah, let's do a Final Four, and I don't mind. I'll tell you who I think the best team in college basketball is. I don't know if they're going to win this tournament. And it's the Houston Cougars.
Yeah.
That is the best team. They play the best defense, and I think they have the most depth. Doesn't mean I think anything can happen here. It's March Madness. You can lose. Sure, they lost to Iowa State in their championship game, but I think they were missing a couple of players. But if I had to pick a team, it's Houston. I still think Purdue's going to get there in the Final Four on that other side of the bracket.
Right.
I did not think UConn would because the bracket was so tough. But now that Auburn's out, Auburn was a team I thought could have played with them.
I'm thinking UConn could do it.
I think UConn's right there, and I like North Carolina.
Yeah, I like those three. I like Houston. I'm saying Purdue maybe don't make it. All right,
they could,
but I don't think they. I think there's a chance they can get beat.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Houston, UConn, and then the winner of that game going to North Carolina. I think they got these number one seeds spot on.
I
think they're going to. I think one of these number one.
Now, I do think you could see Tennessee in a scenario if they could get by Creighton,
right?
Beat up Purdue.
I do too because
I
they played them early.
That would be a nice matchup for Tennessee
because they know what they got to do to beat them now.
They know what they got to do, and I think we could be a little more physical.
Yeah.
But here's the key: you're 6-year seniors. You don't have to score 20. Give me 6 to 10.
Right.
All you got to do is give me. You can't put up goose eggs.
And play great defense.
Play great defense and hit a shot occasionally.
I mean, they're mature enough to handle that type of situation. But I think there's somebody on that team that's got to step up. And I don't think it's Connect, but I think it's got to be.
Now, Connect's capable of putting up 40 on
right,
you.
But I'm talking about being a vocal leader, like coming and
saying.
That's
Ziegler.
Yeah, he's the one that's got to keep.
But those seniors, Vescovi and Jordan James, they got to do something.
Yeah, I think Vescovi.
And if they don't do anything, Coach Barnes, and I know you don't want to do this, then take them out.
Yeah.
And put somebody else in there because you've got some depth.
Well, it's do or die time. Bill, do you think we're going to have any SEC teams in the Final Eight?
I'm going to say Tennessee, and that's it.
Okay.
I'm going to take in the 8.
Well, they got to win, and they got to win. We're playing tonight at 7:00 on CBS.
And I think Alabama does good to maybe win one more game than they're doing. A&M's done right here. They're not going to beat Houston.
Yeah. Well, let's stop now and take a quick break and hear from Kincaid Service Company, one of our fine sponsors. And when we get back, we're going to talk some Titans talk.
And we got big news, folks. Some of y'all don't know this. Something big happened last night.
Yeah, it did.
Big.
We'll be right back.
Kincaid Service Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
All right, Bill, let's talk some Titans. Some big news happened last night, late yesterday. We got us a cornerback. Tell us about the deal. Give me your thoughts on what happened there with
All right,
Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed, Kansas City had franchised him. He was a franchise player at $19.8 million. Kansas City was shopping him. You're paying Mahomes. You're paying Chris Jones. They weren't going to pay Snead.
Right.
This guy last year was a top 3, if not as good a corner as there was in the NFL.
Right.
He had a huge deal with Kansas City winning the Super Bowl. He is a shut-down corner.
Right. He takes one side of the field away. We need that bad on defense.
And we get him, and hats off to Rand Carthon. You swap 7th-round picks, and you give up next year's 3, and we signed him to a 4-year, roughly $55 million deal. We had the money.
Okay. You've beefed up the defense a little bit here. Now I'm starting to look at this number 7 pick. Is it for sure going to be this tackle? Is it going to be alt?
Or is it a trade down and then another tackle?
Could, because there's
Because
two
these
good ones.
well, you've got people want quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I still say watch Minnesota with pick 11 and 23. Would you trade the 7 for the 11 and the 23?
Seven for 2 of them?
Yes.
Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
I think there's a chance you could see that happen.
Well, let's go.
Now, here's my deal with all. I don't know that he is great. I don't know that he's can't miss.
Right.
There's about 3 or 4 of them here that I think are all just about as good.
Well, I don't think there's anything that you can say is can't miss anymore.
No.
I mean, we've seen some big time busts.
I didn't think Alt was dominant
Right.
in college. And when you're 6'7" and his size, you should be blowing people off the ball.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you.
And I'm not saying he could be a 10-year really good player.
All right. So,
But to be a top 7 pick, David, don't you need to be Jonathan Ogden?
yeah.
Don't you need to? I mean, you need to be a Hall of Fame type
Right.
dominant player.
If you're going to be in that top 10 in the first round as a lineman, you're going to have to be one of these guys that make an instant impact the minute you walk on the field.
And now you've got arguably, maybe historically, one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of the National Football League.
We've got him.
So do you have to have the greatest player, or can your coach make something?
I think what we've got.
We need a tackle. We need to get
what
one.
we've had. I think if you put Bill Callahan with the team last year we had, you would have seen a drastic difference in what, because he would have been coaching these kids up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I call them kids. Honestly, though, all these tackles and guards, all the linemen in the NFL are this close to each other when you get right down to it. It's a matter of technique. It's a matter of maybe one of them has a weakness and they can make up for it with something else. You got to take that kid the way he's made and teach him. You know, they got short arms. I've always heard that. They got long arms or whatever. You can't do this, but you can do this, this, and this and be the best at that. And that's what Bill Callahan will bring to the table. Their very best attributes they will get better at, and they will improve on their weaknesses when he's around.
When I remember we drafted Shronsky, they said he had T-Rex arms. His arms are longer than Michael Roos.
I know.
Michael Roos played tackle for the Tennessee Titans for 10 years, left tackle. His arms are short. What does your arms have to do with anything?
I think a lot of this is just a bunch of chatter between all these guys that are out scouting, and they'll make up some stuff sometimes. I think just to say, okay, well, we want him, but I need to say something that like gets people's eyes moving somewhere else. The distraction. I think you have so many distractions like that aren't true floating around. Right. It's a game.
Now, the big deal with the Snead sign, he's only 27 years old, so this guy's in his prime.
Yeah, we're going to get good 4 or 5 years out of it.
Now, look at your secondary all of a sudden, which was one of the major weaknesses of the Titans. You've got Snead at 1.
Right.
Aduze came over from Cincinnati, former second-round pick of the Cowboys. He is a bigger corner, 6'2", 215-ish, very physical, but he can play. And now you've got Roger McCrary, who does not have to play outside. He's now your slot guy, and he's a very good slot guy.
I'm worried about safety. Who are we going to put there? It's somebody we don't know
Hooker,
right now?
You got Amani Hooker. Okay. You've got Elijah Molden, which I think he'll be a reserve. But there's about 7 or 8 really good safeties still on the market. You've got Justin Simmons out there. There's a bunch because the NFL decided not to play safeties, kind of like they did running backs a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So there's still somebody. We've still got plenty of money. We're going to bring in another safety.
Right. And whoever these second teamers are, they look at their special teams play. You know, you got your backup corners and your backup safeties or whatever. They've got to be really good at your special teams. Those, that's a part of the game you got to look at too. That we overlook a lot of times talking about what can they do on first team D when they've got to play, but they got to be good at special teams too. Or you got a weak link out there.
That was one thing about Vrabel I got tired of, signing second. Who's special team? I got sick of that.
I know.
Because all these special teamers we signed the last 4 or 5 years, our special teams should have been the best in the National Football League, and it wasn't.
Oh yeah, You're right.
I mean, special teams. The Titans still need one more linebacker. They need a safety. But here's what I'm a little concerned about on defense. Who replaces D'Amico Autry?
I don't know, man.
There's my worry.
I know.
Because to me, I wish we would have brought him back or signed someone to take his place.
Or does Snead make our defensive line look a lot better? Does it give him a little bit more time to get pressure?
I want somebody to put some pressure on him.
I know.
Because what I'm afraid you're going to see here, if we don't do something, is as good as Big Jeff is, if he's double and triple teamed every time, how effective can he be?
Yeah.
I would almost entertain bringing T.R. Tart back. No one signed him yet, and him and Vrabel didn't get along, but T.R. Tart was a player for us.
He was. He was like to me, when Simmons had to go out and Tart was in the game, he kind of
just because he didn't get along with Vrabel doesn't mean he won't get along with Callahan. Exactly. I would at least look at bringing Tart in because I think he fits what we do. And I think he can make plays.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out now. We got draft day that's looming coming up on us. I'm anxious to see what they do with that 7th pick.
Look at your secondary and look at another thing. Look at your receiver room now.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, one of the best route runners with more speed than D-Hop. And now all of a sudden, Traylon Burks, who I think can still play if he can just stay healthy. Now he's your slot guy. That's 3 really good receivers, 3 really good corners. We didn't have that a year ago.
Yeah.
And then you add in Pollard you brought in to go with Spears.
Right.
So now the thing is, I don't think you're going to know. I know Kenny mentioned
you're not one-dimensional.
You're not going to know just because how we're lined up.
Right.
The Titans are running off tackle to the right.
Yeah.
And you may see both these running backs with the quarterback.
Yep.
That's
what I hope we see. We got to get these kids out in space. You get them in space, man, they can make plays.
And a big upgrade, and I'm not saying he's great, but Mason Rudolph is a huge upgrade at backup quarterback to Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Huge
What's happened to Malik?
I don't know.
Is he going to even be on a roster anywhere next year?
He's probably not going to be here for sure, and I don't know where he'll be, but is all that his fault, or was that some of that they didn't develop him and do him right?
I don't know, man.
Maybe he just can't play.
Just look at it. I
but Rudolph went on a nice run with Pittsburgh. If you think about it, took him to the playoffs, 1 through 4. I mean, I'm not saying he's great, but he's a very serviceable NFL backup.
I think you'll see Malik going to the UFL or to the Arena Leagues, getting fired back up. You'll see him go at that. Or
he is a good athlete.
Hey, he could play in Canada probably. You know, I don't think his football career is over, but I think his NFL career is over. But I will
say this: after we put this around Will Levis, you better do something.
Yeah.
And the other upgrade has been at center. We signed the best center on the free agent market. He's going to be a player too.
So what are you predicting for next year, Bill? You already sound like you're very optimistic.
I'm optimistic. I'm not saying we're going to the playoffs and win the division. I think we're going to surprise some people, and we're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we've been fun to watch for a while.
Well, it was fun watching Derrick Henry stiff arm people out of the league. I mean, Josh, what's his name? The guy that he pancaked on national television.
Was it Josh Norman?
Josh Norman. He never came back to the league after that play. He's gone. Now, I love watching that.
And you'll see more of that with Baltimore this year. I just don't see how you're going to be able to defend Henry, because if you do that, Lamar's going to take off on you. This is going to be good for Henry.
Right. Having Hopkins, Ridley, you got speed there. You got veterans they're going to catch the ball. That changes the whole dynamic.
Remember Traylon Burks at Arkansas? He played the slot.
Yeah.
And that's not the 1 or 2. And maybe that's where he needs to be. And I still think you're going to draft a receiver at some point here. And I bet it's somebody with a lot of speed, because I think Callahan likes receivers. But you've done enough free agent here. You filled enough holes to where I don't think, other than getting a tackle, who knows what we're going to do in the draft.
I don't know. I'm anxious to see. I'd like to see them make that move 7 and get 2.
I'd like to see a trade.
Drop it. Yeah. Well, Bill, let's take a break before we wind things up here. Let's hear from First Bank and from Corner Cleaner.
Cleaners, we provide quality services you can rely on. Located in Shelbyville, we're the area's leading dry cleaner, proudly serving customers throughout Bedford County since 2001. We provide same-day dry cleaning and laundry service, as well as tuxedo rentals. For customer convenience, we offer delivery and also have a drive-through and overnight drop box.
For all your dry cleaning needs, call Corner Cleaners.
Okay, Bill, we're going to wind things down here. I'm anxious to see what plays out with the Titans this week. Who knows what's going to happen?
2 free agent moves that we made, Ridley and Snead. We duped AFC South opponents.
Yeah.
Jacksonville had their deal done, got a little greedy. Rand sneaks in and gets it done. We were rumored to Snead, then we're out of it. Then the Colts apparently had a deal with Snead and somehow ran again, snuck in behind the Colts.
Yeah.
So in getting these guys, you took them away from a division rival.
Yeah.
Which is always nice.
Oh, yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
Which is the one thing they did to us a little bit, Houston did, is getting Autry from us.
Yeah.
And Houston's had a great offseason. But folks out there, remember, it wasn't that long ago. Houston was terrible. And they've rebuilt within 2 years.
Yeah.
That's possible for us.
Well, Bill, we got spring break coming up. The athletes are still going to be playing locally. Our baseball teams, our softball, our soccer, all the spring sports are going wide open. Get out and support those guys. And hopefully next week we might have us a guest here. We had one lined up that couldn't make it today.
Yep.
And Mr. Kenny is out umpiring softball today. So shout out to Mr.
And hopefully
Kenny.
we can get out this week, next week, here soon and show y'all facilities out there at Shelbyville.
Yeah,
new
we got
baseball
that
facilities.
going
Got to
on.
get that going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happening, guys. We
And remember the
appreciate you.
Lincoln County game now.
Right,
The
for the
benefit for Collar
for
Trials.
Collar Trials. And it's good to see
Absolutely.
him with the team. now.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Thanks for watching. For myself and Bill Anderson, have a good